we are joined by Tobi and Jared from Archspire with us. Gentlemen, how are you guys doing today?
Fantastic. Stoked to be
Amazing.
here.
Yeah, absolutely. We are so stoked to have you here. So the first stupid question that I have to ask is that as I was doing research for this and I was like going through Apple Music, listening to songs here and there, did you guys know that you're on Jason Momoa's Apple Music playlist?
Yeah. I remember when he put that out like a year and a half ago, something like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was curious because, like, it just like there was stuff that you would expect from him. Like, we know that he's a rock and heavy music fan and stuff like that. So there's Metallica, Black Sabbath, Slayer, and stuff like that. But I just I was looking at all it had your albums, your EPs, and everything like that, and there's just like Jason Momoa's face under Archspire. Is like, okay, so when are you guys getting in Aquaman 2? Like, when is that offer coming down the pipe?
Hopefully soon.
The most intense Aquaman soundtrack ever.
I don't think we can hear you, Tobi. No, I can't hear your mic.
No.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Tragedy.
Yeah, he was working on some film. What are they working on? I can't remember the name of the show, but Ollie's brother works in...
Can you guys...
Hey, there you are.
There he is. Yep, we got you.
Hey.
You can hear me now.
Yeah.
All right.
Ollie's brother works in makeup and showed him our stuff when he's like, oh, you like heavy music, you should check this out. And we met him a week later. He was at our Vancouver show. It was really weird.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was
cool.
Yeah, they actually had Ollie was doing vocal lessons with him for a while.
Yeah.
So for his show C, he wanted to do a big crazy kind of death metal chant in his show. So then Ollie actually worked with him for a while, and then ended up being in the show as well with our drummer Spencer.
Amazing.
It's pretty crazy. It's just this is one of the biggest Hollywood dudes likes brutal death metal, and
Well, let's dig in that actually, because the shit that y'all do is garners attention from not just tech death nerds or death metal nerds or heavy metal nerds in general, but just it's one of those things that when you watch Michael Jordan play basketball, it's I don't know shit about basketball, but I know that dude is fucking good at what he does. How do you guys balance the technicality versus the musicianship? Because especially just as a heavy metal fan, it's not just okay, cool, they're a bunch of technical wizardry, whatever. The songs are actually good and catchy and work together as well.
I think that's I'll let you go first, Tobi.
Oh, well, it starts with a lot of arguing.
Yeah.
But I think it's just the progression of us wanting to write good songs, or what we want people to think are good songs. So, and we obviously, because of the genre, it is very technically demanding, and it's it is technical death metal, so there has to be a balance of still having it listenable and slightly accessible, but we also still have to be all pleased with it. And so we all want to challenge ourselves too. So we've seen comments, people saying oh, it looks like they're all in a competition with each other, trying to say who can be more tech than, we're battling each other while we're playing a song, which is I guess at times it kind of sounds like that, but everything's kind of strategic, where we really focus on the actual writing too, where sure, it's all crazy and technical at moments, but we also have to have these moments where it's a bit more open and the song can breathe and people can actually, follow along, or hope to, within all the insanity.
Following along, that's not... I was going to say, that wouldn't be easy.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of hook and some sort of catch, right? Otherwise, it's just... It just becomes kind of... It's too much. It's nothing... There's people write the craziest stuff, and it's if there's no hook, it just kind of is this crazy thing that is maybe unlistenable, or something I might enjoy listening to, but it's going to reach less people if you don't have some sort of chorus that's people are humming the next day.
Yeah, it's still treating it like any other kind of music. We still want to have those hooks and draw people in, and especially in a live setting, if it's all just one speed and it just goes by so quick, and even live it's and we depend so much on playing live that having those big breaks, or having parts that people can kind of grasp onto, or a heavy headbanging part, you can actually bop your head to, or mosh to or whatever. Like, we want to try to create those live moments, but on record. So we're not, just playing. How fast can we play?
Yeah.
Like, how tech can we be? It's like, well, at some point you're gonna lose the listener. Even like Jared's saying, like on his own, on my own, like I love listening to that stuff too. But even sometimes it's a bit much. So you want to have.
Yeah, and we talk about that a lot here. We're just, especially with the advent of the internet and everything like that, and the affordability of recording and stuff like that. There are just a lot of. I feel like there are a lot of opportunities for all genres, not just tech death, but metalcore, deathcore, power metal, everything. Were to kind of get watered down. I know that's a little bit negative, but for the lack of a better term, right? Where there's just the ease of being able to put music out there right now in this day and age is so simple that sometimes things can get a little bit watered down to where you have to find a way to stand out from that. And it's interesting that you all said that, because we had a couple of weeks and or months ago, I don't know time anymore, we had Ophidian Eye on the channel talking about their new record, Desolate. They name dropped you guys as well in previous interviews as far as being inspirations for them. And it's just like, they're doing the same type of thing where it's like, okay, we write at this and then we up the BPMs, 5 BPMs about like 30 different times, and then we play that. But they also mentioned you still have to have that hook, you still have to have that melody, you still have to have those breaks in there in order to pull listeners in. So it seems like that's just something that it's almost like songwriting 101, regardless of whether it's Mary Had a Little Lamb or technical death metal. It's like all those fundamentals still stay there.
Yeah,
it's
got to be a good song.
I would now like to see a tech death version of Mary Had a Little Lamb. So if y'all could,
I guarantee you it's on YouTube. I guarantee it.
Somebody's already done that, I'm sure.
Someone's done it for sure. It's all been done before. It's just different. But that's why I was gonna quickly say that's why it takes us so long to write as well, because everything goes through a filter. We all have to be satisfied, so we don't just pump albums out every year or put EPs out. Like we just don't write like that, and it just takes us a really long time to kind of agree. But then we know when it's done, we're all stoked and we can move forward, and then hopefully it makes a better album than if we just like kind of quickly put a bunch of stuff together and then just be like, all right, we gotta put this album out, go on the road, and then we gotta write another one right away. So we try to like milk it as much as we can.
Yeah, and I have a question actually tied to that. Corey, I wanted you to jump in case you had
go for it, because you stole my question already, so it's totally fine.
We're in sync.
Yeah, so you go for it, because I got to regroup and form a new question.
No worries. So you're mentioning the writing process and stuff like that. I want to dig into that a little bit, because in your guys' music, everything is an instrument. Like everything is an instrument, right? Where like, and you guys have developed, like people notice because of the shotgun quote unquote type of vocals where it's just like spitting out, like a machine gun or anything like that. Can you just walk us through like how a Archspire song starts and then goes into the record?
It's like we usually start with like a BPM range, or like a technique that one of us is working on. And then we got this thing, and then we'll all write to it. And then like, okay, we got a part we're happy with. And then, okay, what else do we have around that range? And try to link some stuff together. And what do we need to do next? We got this crazy blast beat part and this sort of feel. What should it go to sort of complement that or contrast that? And then you could work on it for a week. And then at the end of the week, it's like, I actually don't like this anymore. And then it's gone. And then it's, well, you just, okay, well, come back Monday. And we try something else. And sometimes at the end of the week, and you're like, all right, this is great.
Yeah, it's starts with arguing, ends with arguing.
Yeah.
Standard.
I say that
Being
again.
Being in a band, 101, argue.
Yeah. It's it can be frustrating. It can be a frustrating process, but we've got something that we're all happy with in the end.
And that kind of leads me into my next question, where you said you take your time with your albums, and has it ever gotten to the point where it's like you're really happy with something, and then 6 months later, you're like, this is not going on the album. This is not happening. And you have to just completely revisit things? Or when it's done and you guys have agreed, do you kind of just stick with that?
there's sort of like a draft period, right? We'll write everything and like, okay, we got a loose form of everything, and then we go back and we add solos and we add like that another layer in like, you know, in 6 months or whatever, and things can get totally changed then, or even in the studio like last minute.
Yeah, and this album cycle too, for writing was a little different as far as like Jared was saying, like doing more outlining, drafting. We would like do like just a good chunk of a song. Like, let's get to like, you know, how long is these riffs we've written so far, this section? Okay, we're at like 3 minutes. Okay, well that could be almost a song. So like, do we want to take a break from this and move forward to the next part, like the next song or something? If anybody has any ideas for the next thing, just so we don't dwell too much on like, you know, we'll spend like an hour on like literally like 5 to 10 seconds worth of music and then just scrap it in the end. So sometimes, and like, so sometimes
how do you get anything done?
Well,
it's been about 4 years, Corey.
Sometimes it feels like we don't. Sometimes it's really easy. Sometimes it's really easy, and some days it's just like, you hit that wall, and it's like, I mean, I think it was Golden Month of Ruin. We like were in the studio and we had like this huge chunk of like, there needs to be a riff here, and we had drums, and we had no riff. Like even in the studio, and I don't remember what we did. I think
it was a riff that we had that no one was super pumped on.
It got kind of wacky. It was a little circusy.
Yeah, and it just kind of stayed. Yeah, and then we just like, it seemed like we needed to have this to make the song a certain amount of length so it didn't over repeat itself. Yeah. And I was like, well, why don't we just delete this shit and get rid of it, and then just put these parts up together, and there's the finished song. And then,
but that was even like right down to the wire. We were like in the studio, like, what do we do with this?
Yeah, it's like
just get rid of it.
In the movies where they're like test screening and it's like special effects here, you know, like you just riff here,
it'll go here. Yeah, just blank screen, something.
Yeah.
Someone come up with something good.
Yeah, it happens a lot too. We'll think we have to have these things in a song, or like we might be all hooked on like one part, but it's just not fitting. But we're trying to like force it, and then it's just sometimes it just takes like, let's just remove it, and then it just opens it up and makes everything, you know. And then sometimes we reserve, you know, sometimes if we get rid of shit, we just put it on a back burner list, and then sometimes use it later in a song, or just completely bury it and never get spoken of again.
Like, let's not talk about that one.
Yeah, amazing. I would, so my useless college degree nowadays, it doesn't get used anymore, is in photojournalism. And when we're doing like photo editing and stuff like that, very similar process where you like have these things that you really want to use and want to shoehorn in there. And eventually you just get rid of them because it makes the whole thing flow a little bit easier, right? If you're doing an essay or a story, we used to call that drowning your kids. Like, hey man, you got to drown your kids. Like, 'cause it's like, but it's a part of me, right?
It's hard. It's hard to let that go because you feel so attached to it, right? It's like, oh man, I wrote this and I thought it sounded really cool, and then it's like, nah, it's this. It sounds like a little circusy, or it's not blowing wind up my skirt. Okay, well, it's done.
Jared wears skirts.
That's totally fine. Got to self-express your own way.
I'm stealing that phrase, by the way. That doesn't blow wind up my skirt. I'm stealing that.
That one's on the house. You get first one's free.
Right. Yeah. All right, cool. That's how you get them.
Yeah, exactly.
Just check off my cart. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So you, Tobi, said earlier about when we were listening to Golden Mouth Ruin that this is one of the least techie songs on the album. So given it has been 4 years since your last project, and you guys have been working like crazy to get it all together, even up to the wire, it sounds like, what can fans, either fans of Archspire or fans of people that have never heard you before, expect on the new album?
400 beats per minute.
Yes.
Whiplash.
I think we did 400. Yeah.
However, I'm sure we'll get flack for that, because I'm sure people are like, well, if you just cut it in half, it's actually not that. It's 200. It's like, sure, but whatever. So
it's really fast.
400 song. Yeah, it's like the fastest song we've ever written.
Faster than anything we've ever done.
Yeah.
And it's catchier than anything we've ever done at the same time, I think.
Holy shit! Cool.
Just like, and I think it's a cool balance of like more extreme and more accessible. Mm-hmm. I hope.
I think there's like heavier there's like heavier moments on this album as well. Like Golden Mouth was kind of like, I guess we kind of looked at it as like a good heavy live song. Like we would hope that it would be a good mosh pit live scenario song. Even though like we kind of forget that in that middle section it's all insanely fast and crazy. But for us it's like, oh, this is like
this is the
more
slow
of a
one.
headbanging is our slow song, and it's just not that. It's just when you're obsessed with like, you know, beats per minute and making things crazy and fast, you forget like what the reality of it is at times. But yeah, there's definitely like heavier moments on this album, I think, than we've ever had. A lot more layering and stuff. A lot of stuff where it's like everything just sounds a lot thicker, you know, production wise. Yeah, which is all thanks to Dave Altira.
Yeah, Dave's the man.
So the solution to having a fast song and making it moshable, just mosh faster, people. When you hear these guys, just do your cardio and get in shape and just mosh faster.
That works. Yeah. You try not to have like too much of like there's just the stare. Like it's kind of it's not an exciting mosh pit, you know. So you gotta find a way around that.
Yeah.
It is fascinating to watch you guys play though, because it is just so intricate. And I mean, when we were listening to the song, I kind of compared it to like the Trans-Siberian Orchestra death metal. Like just it is an experience to just watch what your hands are doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I mean, you know, you're never going to be able to replicate that on your own, and it's just watching like Da Vinci paint or something.
I don't know about that, but
it's pretty intense.
I like watching. I like watching tech bands too.
Yeah. I would say more like if the paintbrush was in hands of like a child, that was having a fit.
That was having a blast.
Yeah, it was like really angry or something.
Oh, that's a good pun. That's a good pun. I like that. He's having a blast. All right.
Yeah.
See? But
all right.
I'll see myself out now.
It's fine. You can stay right there. It's fine. I'll allow it. So real quick, obviously, like, we talk a bunch about like the technicality of the music and everything like that, but obviously y'all are humans that have to like step away from the BPMs for a while and stuff like that. What do you all do as far as, especially as you've been like writing and doing all this crazy work to get this thing together? How do y'all recharge? Whether it's like through other music that you listen to or just other stuff that you do. Like Jared, I assume you just like, you know, farm your hair for like 7 or 8 hours a day, I just sit here like brushing it. Yeah.
Trying to just pushing hair out of my scalp.
Yeah.
I got a dog a few months ago, so that's been sort of my
what kind? What's
keeping me
name?
busy. Her name is Zelda, and she's a French bulldog.
Aww.
So she's been
so jealous.
Yeah, she's been keeping me busy, and so that's sort of like, if I'm not practicing, I'm probably cleaning her piss up off the floor. Yeah.
That's sweet.
I assume that she is named after the video game character.
Yeah.
What is your favorite Zelda game?
I mean, I feel like I have to say Ocarina of Time, but
I was going to say, and why is it Ocarina of Time?
Yeah, I mean, like Breath of the Wild was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I don't know, either one. Like, just I think like the first scene of Breath of the Wild, where you come out of the cave and you just see everything, is like a really cool moment in video games. It's like holy shit, I can go everywhere. I can go anywhere here. It's like it looks really big. And then I don't know, Ocarina of Time is just like, it's just a great game.
It's classic.
Like it was a really cool like back and forth with like the time warping thing, and I don't know, that was a really great game.
I'll throw my hat in the ring.
Nostalgic.
Yeah, I'll throw my hat in the ring for Majora's Mask. I unabashedly love that game.
That one like does not get enough love. You know, people didn't like it.
I loved it.
I loved it too. But it came after Ocarina of Time, and like it was harder because you had like again, you had like a time limit. People didn't like it as much. I don't know why. I loved it.
Toby's sitting over there rolling his eyes, like, "Oh, these nerds over here." No, I see, because I got an N64 like way late in the cycle. Like that was my like, I had seen people play Ocarina of Time, but Majora's Mask was the first one that I actually delved into. So, Tobi, I'm going to move it to you to get away from the nerd talk. What about you? Like, how do you unwind, step away from the band and everything like that? What keeps you refreshed and going?
I mean, I'm a total nerd and just not as much video games, but other shit like horror movies and stuff. And like,
okay, word.
I collect a lot of like collectibles and shit like that, because yeah, it's another nerd outlet, which is awesome. But yeah, aside from, I mean, stepping away from the band stuff, I mean, it's been cool to be home for so long. So like spending time with my fiance a lot, which is not as often because we tour so much. So, you know, being home to do that, and like summertime has been great. So like riding my bike a lot and like just enjoying kind of the outdoors a little bit. You know, aside from the whole COVID and bullshit like that. But
Yeah.
so yeah, catching up on that, like family stuff, and like watching, you know, catching up on tons of movies and stuff like that. Like I watch like a lot of horror movies like all the time. So that's like a big kind of sort of escape or getaway from like band stuff. Or even just like messing around with other music like at home. You know, just working on different production stuff just for fun, just to like kind of unwind and do like different music kind of ideas to just like, yeah, step away from like our crazy insane tech death stuff.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to step away, because you got to do it sometimes, just to like refresh and leave everything there and come back again. You did mention COVID and the bullshit and everything like that. I did see that y'all were slated to go on tour a little bit later this year. The Rivers of Nile, Allegiant, Black Crown Initiate, and To the Grave, which fucking like ridiculous lineup that is. Is that still the plan as of right now? I know we're in a squishy period right now, but any light you guys can shed?
It's kind of like, I mean, they're saying, yeah, it's happening, right? But I
Mhm.
mean, realistically, it's still like not really sure. Like, if anything, it'll just get moved again. Because yeah, I mean, that lineup is sick. We're stoked to do it, but as well, with everything getting caught up in Europe and stuff, and everyone, like all the countries in Europe being on board, it's still not quite there yet. So I think the plan is to just, you know, still go ahead with it until it just, we can't go ahead with it. So
Yeah.
A yellow light is just a green light with attitude. So
yeah,
If anything, you're supposed to speed up when
right
you see
now.
the yellow, right?
Yeah, we're going right now. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Things are it's really hard to predict.
Well, and that's exactly
everything
what-
changes in like
Yeah.
every month. It's a different thing.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
here we're back to where we were about March 2020, when I was like, yeah, shows in May are going to go off without a hitch. That'll be great. Oh, man. So I don't want to leave it on a downer or anything like that, because you guys, like, Believe the Future is coming out on October 29th.
Bum everybody out for the rest of your show.
Yeah, goodbye, everybody. See ya. Yeah. So,
everybody's sad, right? We can leave.
Yeah, I guess like the last question that I have is, what is one thing that y'all learned about yourself in this album cycle, and what was your favorite thing to come from writing and recording this album?
What did we learn about ourselves?
Sure.
What was our favorite thing to come from this?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
I know it's a big brain question. I put you on the spot. I do that sometimes. I apologize, but I also don't.
Yeah. I don't know. It's such a neat experience to like write in this band, because I think like together we're like a bigger thing than we are individually, and it's really cool to, you know, get through the writing process and then hear that album for the first time. So that would be my favorite part. For sure is you know, hearing the final product for the first time is a really cool feeling, and it's always, you know, when you're in the weeds, it's kind of hard to see like what you're actually doing, if it's any good or not, and then you look back after a year or two of writing and you get the final product, you're like, man, this is cool.
Yeah. Being done with it is
it's also a really good one.
yeah. Just being finished is good, because it's like there's, during the writing process, like it does take a while, and you know, we all have our input, and which for us, it makes it the best that it possibly can be, you know, for ourselves, and we hope for, you know, the listeners when it comes out. But I mean, for us, like, we have to be fans of our own music. So during that process, there's times where it is kind of exciting, like, hey, this song might be the, you know, that cool one people are gonna like, but like then it's just clouded with so much other stuff too. Like, you know, we're constantly like kind of just battling with like just trying to make this thing work. So yeah, kind of just when it's done and it's finished, it's kind of like, oh, sick, now we can sit back and just like enjoy hearing a finished product and
Try
like
to
some
play
of the and then try to like figure out how to play it. So,
Yeah.
you know, so we have to still practice now and learn the music we just wrote.
Amazing. Corey, do you have anything else for our fine guests in Archspire?
I asked this of the last guest, and I'm going to ask it again. What is your favorite dinosaur?
Oh, gotta go with the raptor. It's the fastest one.
Everybody's going with the raptor today, except for that
I
one
gotta say,
guy.
badass.
For good reason.
Yeah.
Except like, people are like, oh, well, raptors actually had feathers. It's like, well, that kind of ruins it.
Or does it
Triceratops.
make it cool? Like,
I
what
don't
if they
know.
had
They're
really
just
cool looking
ostentatious.
feathers?
It's like a giant chicken. Like, I don't know about that. It's
Or
not-
like,
Yeah.
what if it has like peacock feathers and is super pretty, but also super deadly?
Okay.
Mm.
All right.
But you said giant chicken. You played Ocarina of Time. You know what they can do.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Only if you poke them. Don't poke the chicken.
I'd say Triceratops.
Okay.
That's my favorite.
Oh, a classic one.
That's a good one.
Ever since I was a kid, that was my favorite one.
Okay.
3 horns. Looks sick. You know?
Sarah from Land
Sarah
Before Time,
from
right?
Land Before Time, yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
And your record label says that theirs is pterodactyl. If
Okay.
anybody cares, I care. I
Awesome,
care.
Katie.
Yeah, they're cool.
Awesome choice.
They fly.
Rad.
Yeah.
They survived.
Mm.
Shout out to them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
Shout out to the pterodactyl.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Wouldn't be here without them.
My parents are pterodactyls, so yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
No, that's not true. Toby,
It's
Jared.
a terrible thing to say about your parents.
No, they don't tell them. No, I don't. They're probably watching right now. Absolutely, no. They'll think
Dude,
it's funny
his
because
parents
they
can
don't
fly
take
this.
anything I say seriously, and no one else should either. Anyways.
This, Brett.
Yes, that is cool. Jared, Toby, thank you so much for hanging out with us today, talking about your record. Everybody in the chat, you have the links to be able to pre-order that shit. Please do that shit right now. And go follow Archspire. Go buy their shirts. Go see them whenever they tour the US, whenever that is. If you're in Europe, buy a ticket to that as well. Bleed the Future is coming out on October 29th via Season of Mist. Jared, Toby, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Hopefully we'll see you again.
Yeah.
Definitely. It was a blast.
Likewise. See you guys.
See ya.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.